Hello, this is Dr. Mira Reisberg from the Children's Book Academy, and I'm so excited to be sharing about this exquisite book from former student Nancy Churnin, illustrated by James Ray Sanchez. So the title tells us so much about the story, who it's about, and why it's important. We start off here, and there's this lovely dedication that Nancy makes to her beloved grandparents who were immigrants, probably Jewish, like Irving Berlin, and it shows her personal connection to the story, while the illustrator dedicates it to his mom and dad, which is very sweet. You can see that here the image contextualizes in time and place. There's Fred Astaire and Ginger Roger posters on the wall. I'll see you in Cuba, which would have been before the embargo. And it's got this vintage 1920s, 30s Art Deco look. And here we've got this wonderful red scarf that leads us through the story. It's this motif that's fabulous. I love the illustrations. I love everything about them except that all the Jewish people have really big noses, and not all Jews have big noses. So I wish someone had caught that with him, but there it is. The text is just exquisite though. Well, and so's the art, except for that one thing. But anyway, Irving stood on tiptoe to see over the rail. Behind him, too far to glimpse, was Russia, where angry Cossacks had burned his family's home to ashes. Ahead was America. What would they find there? So Nancy packs a lot into that small, those 3 lines of text. It tells us where they're coming from, why they're leaving, where they're going, and then it hooks us with this, what would they find there? And of course we want to know, what do they find there? So we turn the page. Suddenly people pointed to a strange green figure in the distance. Was this the famous Statue of Liberty? The passengers whispered. Then a melody rose and flew to her, like Noah's dove in search of safe land. Shema Israel, hear, O Israel. Irving's heart lifted and soared. His thin, high voice joined in, gathering strength with each note. The statue seemed to welcome them. Nancy's not afraid to ask questions which really engage the reader. And then we hear this beautiful simile. Then a melody rose and flew to her, like Noah's dove in search of safe land. It's really gorgeous. And then it also sets us up right away that Irving loves music. God bless America, his mother said. God bless America, Irving whispered. He could hear the statue singing her own special song, low and warm. One day, Irving promised himself, I'm going to write a song just for her. And this is called Foreshadowing, where the writer sets up something that is going to appear later on that's going to be important. So very, very beautiful language. It's so hard not to read more. I'm just going to tell you about this. This is where Nancy does a compare with the old country and the new country to give a sense of just how different it is. And I want to point out how skillful the illustrator is, because in pretty much every spread, even though young Irving is really small here, our eye goes to him because the light points us that way. And it's very skillful the way he's created silhouettes in the front. And here's that wonderful red scarf weaving its way through. The language is beautiful. You are going to have to buy it and use it as a mentor text about how to write exquisitely. This here is another great example. I'm trying to keep this short, but she describes how Irving's dad was a cantor in Russia, and then she explains what a cantor is, the one whose voice carried people's prayers to the heavens. So, wow, that is so beautiful. And that really is the role of a cantor, even though it probably would not normally be described that way. And then I have to read this bit out. Back in his family's crowded apartment, there were more sounds. The steady treadle of the sewing machine in the apartment next door, the thump of his mother kneading dough, and soft laughter when his father pressed his cheek against her floury face. Irving lay awake at night, trying to fit all the notes and words together. So once again, the light is pointing to him. He's the lightest thing in the composition. And here's, the language. This is called assonance, when the inner vowels parallel each other. The steady treadle of the sewing machine. And we've got some alliteration with steady and sewing. The thump of his mother kneading dough, and soft laughter when his father pressed his cheek against her floury face. So we've got alliteration here with floury face. And then here, the fabulous rhythm, the thump of his mother kneading dough, and soft laughter when his father pressed his cheek against her floury face. And then the last line, trying to fit all the notes and words together. So she's not saying trying to make sense. She's talking about it as if it was a collage or it was a puzzle that he's trying to put together. Much, much more poetic. So I just want to show you these last things, and this is for non-fiction writers or biographers. Instead of front-loading with all this factual information about his real name and where exactly he came from, and, all this stuff from the masses of research that she would have done, we've got this great author's note that's also really beautifully written, as well as a timeline. So it's gorgeous. And then at the very end, we have this collage from some of the movies that Irving wrote for, as well as these great testimonials by people like Jane Yolen and this other biographer who I imagine that Nancy drew from in her research, as well as this great review from the director of Dallas Libraries, which is where Nancy lives. A delightful historical narrative with pop, pizzazz, and colour, just like Irving Berlin himself. Children and adults alike will enjoy reading this fantastic journey to the birth of the song, God Bless America. So it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I hope you buy it. I hope you use it as a mentor text for those of you that are writing, no matter what you're writing, because the language is just so wonderful. That's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching.